So just spent the past week or so here in Southeast Asia between Singapore, Malaysia, and Brunei. At this point now, it's time to head on to the next part of the overall trip, and that is going to be spending the next 4 days in Hong Kong. This journey to Hong Kong began with one more flight aboard AirAsia, only this time I paid some extra cash to take a front row ride for the added legroom. This would be well worth it because the flight was about 4 hours as opposed to the previous AirAsia flights, which were only about an hour or two each. To get to the city center of Hong Kong, I first hopped aboard the Airport Express for a few stops before switching to one of their subway lines. Most of the places visited for this trip to Hong Kong were pretty easily accessible by the subway, or close to it, and navigating the subway itself was pretty easy. The maps feature lights to help indicate which route you're taking, and a lone blinking light indicates what the next stop will be. Payment for the Hong Kong subways can be done with a card called the Octopus. You can add value to your Octopus card through the kiosks at many of the subway stations. And at the end of the trip, you can return your card and get the money that's left on it back, minus a small processing fee. Be sure to pay attention to the arrows on the ground as they help control the flow of passengers on and off the trains. Like many other major Asian cities, there's quite a density to the buildings here in Hong Kong, and there's quite a few people. Luckily, my hotel was one where I could drop my bags off before going to explore. Staying at the Minimal Culture Hotel. Definitely the minimal amount of culture. No more, no less. So for this day, it's going to be coasting with minimal culture. Once the bags were dropped off, I made my way back toward the subway station with a bit of walking through the city mixed in. So I got the stuff dropped off at the hotel, and I've managed to take a subway down to the waterfront area. I'm gonna go and see if the waterfront is as dramatic as I think it is based on the pictures I've seen. I've heard many great things about this area. However, I was not quite prepared for how awesome it would be to see it in person. This is a place where pictures just don't do it justice. The waterfront view here in Hong Kong is absolutely stunning. You know, I love Seattle's waterfront, but this might give it a run for its money, if I'm being honest. Along the edge of the water here, you've got these plaques like this one that has images or handprints for different people who have contributed to the film industry of Hong Kong in this area that's known as the Avenue of the Stars. There's also a statue further down the way that represents the award that's given for the Hong Kong Film Awards each year. While you can enjoy the unique sculptures of the waterfront area, the harbor is also great for just taking the time to watch the many boats as they drift or sail by. The waterfront also offers a variety of locations for a different perspective, such as this deck that offers higher up views and multiple tiers, making it a great selfie spot. The clock tower that resides here dates back to the 1920s and had the feeling of being in one of the British Caribbean colonies, which would make sense since Hong Kong was under British rule until 1997. Waterfront area, rainy weather, it's like I'm back home. Okay, we got a busker's catastrophe here because we've got a group of dancers and a guy who's doing his own self-karaoke. Just on the other side of the staircase, you've got a duo that's playing a guitar and a singer. And then we've got a trio of singers over here. It gets hard to appreciate the individual performers when they're so close together. I give them credit for trying, but I don't think they're going to get the desired result they're hoping for if they drown each other out. After spending some time on the north side of the harbor, it was time to head to the other side by hopping aboard one of the Star ferries. If you happen to get the octopus card for the subways as I did, it can also be used for the ferry crossings as well. Having a place to sit shouldn't be much of an issue, as the ferries offer large multi-person benches. If you don't like one way, switch it. Of course, the ferry will offer riders even more opportunities to enjoy the views of the city as you cross Victoria Harbour. While the subways do pass underneath the harbour, you'll want to take the ferry at least once for this view. Take the Star Ferry. Great way to see the waterfront here in Hong Kong. Absolutely brilliant views from on board. So it turns out that there's actually a Formula E Grand Prix race going on this side of the water in Hong Kong. Had no idea that it was going on. I'm gonna see just for laughs if there's any tickets available, and if so, how much they are, because if it's not a bad deal, I might go ahead and enjoy a race. So I asked the ladies at the ticket counter how much it was. They said to go into the E-Village, it was 15 Hong Kong dollars, so about $2 American. If you wanted to sit in the grandstand, it was about 2,850 Hong Kong dollars, or about $363. I think I'm gonna pass on the race this time. As much fun as it would be to see, I do have other things to pay for still on this trip. So some random experiences may not work out, but there's still so much to see just by walking around. Hong Kong is one of those cities where you can find influences from various sources in its architecture and its decorations, as well as its artwork because of the past. Consider me surprised that there's such a thing as double-deck trolleys. Bamboo scaffolding. Nice. Came to check out the Peak Tram, and originally I was going to buy a ticket, but there was a guy who walked by and gave a couple of gals behind me his extra tickets, and they had one left, so I could do the Peak Tram for free. Score! Almost like a theme park attraction, the queue line for the Peak Tram offers displays for you to see artifacts from the past that were part of the operation of this historic transportation method. The tram ride itself is about 5 minutes one way, and as you're rolling up the hill, you start with some unique views of the city passing by. This thing's pretty steep. It's like riding Millennium Force. Once you get higher up, you're able to see above some of the smaller buildings, and the views begin opening up even more to the incredible city below. Of course, the tram is just part of the experience, because once you reach the top, you can make your way up to the Sky Terrace 428 observation deck. This is where you can really appreciate the city of Hong Kong as you take it in from the highest viewing platform at 428 meters above sea level. You can also see the nearby Sandy Bay in the distance. Okay, so doing the tram was awesome in itself, but getting a combination ticket that includes this sky deck to get the view up here, even better. This might be one of my favorite views I've ever seen at any city. This is amazing. It's easy to see why many people come to enjoy this stunning view of the city below. Not gonna lie, other observation decks gotta step their game up because this is fantastic. I'm not sure if I've been to an observation deck that I've enjoyed more than this one because it's absolutely stunning here. But before heading back down on the tram, I decided to make a quick stop on the way to the station. I know what you're thinking. Bubba Gumps in Hong Kong? Really? But if you see the view from this place, I think you'd understand why it's worthwhile to come at least for a beer and appetizer, so cheers. When you are ready to head back down, you may want to be prepared as there could be a long line for the ride back. This is going to take a while. After the wait, you then get to enjoy the journey back down. After the ride back down, the dark of night would begin to take over the sky. But the city isn't ready to sleep just yet. The buildings will begin to brighten up, some even offering a mini light show. Of course, with the potential nighttime views from the harbor, there was no way I was going to skip out on a ferry ride back to the other side. And it did not disappoint. Before calling it a night, there was at least a little bit more exploring to do. So rather than heading right back to the subway, I just went ahead for a walk like many others that evening so that I could take in the sights. The final stop for this evening was to the Temple Street Night Market, where there were all sorts of vendors selling various goods, along with a large variety of eateries offering various styles of Chinese cuisine. This exploring of Hong Kong made for an excellent first day, and that was just the beginning, as there'd be much more to see. I'm not gonna lie, this city is absurdly gorgeous at night. I absolutely love it. This is a fantastic place. Thank you for watching this video from Coasting with Culture. If you haven't already done so, please consider clicking that subscribe button down below if you'd like to see future videos. You can also find Coasting with Culture on Twitter and Facebook as well. And of course, for more travel experiences, visit coastingwithculture.com. Until next time, take care and safe travels.